Well, so we're just kind of hanging out for a moment until a couple more folks join. But while we're waiting, I'm ultimately going to hand off host here to Navendu, but I'll say while we're waiting, we do have a community tradition of saying hi to newcomers, getting to know everybody. And so if we got any newcomers on the call, now's your chance to say hi and introduce yourself. Has anyone not been on this call before? Community call?
Hello, my name is Luis. I'm new on this call. I just discovered you guys because one of my friends is working on your project about meshes, so I'm interested on that. So that's why I'm going this time.
Cool, very good, Luis. Nice to have you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Luis, there's a couple of it's great to have you. There's a couple of things to say to make sure that you feel warmly welcomed. One of those things is that if it so happens that you are, in addition to English, also speak Spanish, there's a channel in the community Slack that's chocked full of other Spanish speakers. So if you're familiar with Jesus Lerma, who might be the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Oh, nice. Cool. Good.
Yeah. Don't worry. Thank you.
Good. Cool. By the way, since we're getting to know Luis, I'll also say, well, actually, Luis, let me put you on the spot if I can. This will really break the ice. That is, so we've had the fortune as a community of participating in CCOSS the last couple of years, and we're participating again this year. Are you familiar with that conference or that event?
I'm familiar. I haven't participated on CC on that specific project, but yeah, I received the emails, and I know it's just trying to get people to get involved on the open source projects. So yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Cool.
Yeah, yep.
Nice. Well, hey, by the way, so for the last couple of years, I was down in Guadalajara. Where was I? Guadalajara. No, was it? Heck, I don't know. A couple of years ago, down giving a workshop in person. It was fantastic. Turns out that it was right. It was timed very well with Independence Day. So there's a lot of tequila that happened that weekend for me. But and next year we got to participate. We participated virtually, and so and then this year we're participating again. And it turns out Jesus and Rodolfo Martinez, between the two of them, and then also is it Antonio? Boy, this is embarrassing. I think it's Antonio. I have to go look his name up. It escapes me, but he's contributed to the Meshry docs a lot. And so this time they're hosting. They're gonna introduce people to Meshry and to the projects here. So that's fantastic. Anyway, really nice to have you. I'm excited that I get to work on my Spanish. So
that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, good. Well, Navendu, can I hand it back to you?
Yes. Thanks, Lee. Before we get on with the agenda, is there anyone else new on this call? This is your chance to introduce yourself to the community and get introduced to the community. So if you are new on this particular call, oh, Darren, go ahead. Darren, I see you are unmuted, but we can't hear you. So if you are having issues with your microphone, like you can use the chat as well.
Good. Darren will introduce in chat. So fair enough.
All right. I don't think there is anyone else who is new. So let's get on to the topics for today. Meghna, do you like to talk about the upcoming release and the blocks?
Yeah, sure. So right now we have around 4 blog posts that we need more people in for. So we are waiting for more volunteers for that. And I'll just give me a minute. I'll just let you know the ones. It's bad. So. Sorry when it's really bad. Zain, do you mind continuing it?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Since many people are new, I'll just give a overview about what this is. So we are gonna have version 0.6.0 release soon, and so we are preparing a release blog as well as release note for that, and we have highlighted our features, and we want people to write blogs on it. So this is the epic on it, and we have all the features listed here. So all of them except 4 of them have been assigned to people, and most of them, some of them have completed and some have yet to finish, but we have 4 unassigned features. So if anyone would like to write blogs on this, please feel free to go check out, and you might want to get it assigned to yourself. So I'll also mention the 4 which are pending. So we have applications that's pending, and filters that's pending, and Meshmap beta, and dynamic management. So there are 4. So please feel free to go through that link and get yourself assigned if you are interested to write on it. I'll put the link on the chat.
Cool. Nice. To just recap that briefly for everyone that's on the call. So Meshery is nearing the V0 6.0 release. The goal is toward the end, here in a couple of weeks, like toward the end of the month. Certainly in advance of KubeCon, this will be Meshery's first KubeCon as a member project. As such, we'll have office hours that we'll be sure that all of you are aware of, and probably many of you, well, any number of you will be invited to participate and talk about your engagement in the project. We'll also have Service Mesh Performance, by the way, a sibling project to Meshery. It is also in the CNCF, and it will also have office hours, and there'll also be opportunities to participate. So that's good. But on the blog post that Zain is talking about, so as we prepare for the V0.6.0 release, there's a lot of things to write up and tell the world about. Last time when we did the V0.5.0 release, between, I don't know, I can't recall, and I hope I don't miss anyone, but largely Asuko Lee, who's a Meshery maintainer, and Michael Gefeller, another Meshery maintainer, had given a heavy hand to writing up functionality that was released then. It was a lot. There was just some new architectural components, and we're looking at a lot of the same in the V0.6.0 release. By any other measure, technically it's probably a major release because we're adding architectural components. But since we're not to a 1.0 yet, we're being reserved with the release numbering. So what Zain is saying is, here's an opportunity to, one, get your name out there on the V0.6.0 release, whether you contributed to the code in that area or not, that doesn't matter. Like but writing it up or taking a snapshot or just participating and trying to kind of get the word out, whether that's in Meshry docs or in a couple of different blog posts on these topics. So actually, right now, I don't see a name necessarily against 2 GitHub actions that were created in this release timeframe. And maybe there are people that are on top of those already, but those are, in concept, simple enough that anyone can go digest what those are and add a few, write a few things about it. So jump in, like, hey, all of what we do here is community driven. So yeah, Meghana and Zane are championing and organizing the variety of things that need to be written up and described in this upcoming release. So feel free to engage. That's for any of you that are on the call.
Yep. Thanks for that. And the issue that I just showed here is on the comments. So feel free to jump there and engage. There are many child issues, so you can pick any of these up and make a write-up about it. Adding to that, our next item is on starting a new build and release meeting. So basically, we have a CI meeting that happens every other Thursday. So since our initiatives in CI can be linked to Meshry, and we have an upcoming release coming up, what we are proposing to do is to convert that meeting into a build and release meeting. So starting next Thursday, we will have a build and release meeting with the focus on making sure that Meshry is ready for release. So we will be talking about test strategies, writing unit test, and making sure that everything is running before we make the next release. And there are a couple of docs linked here, and I will send out an update soon. So if you're subscribed to the community calendar, you should receive an update about this meeting. So this is just an FYI before that. And we are also proposing to conduct this meeting at a new time. So the current time is 1 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. GMT, 11:30 p.m. IST. So we can maybe, like, if most of us in the community want a change of time, maybe we can do that. Like I know for most of the folks here, it is quite late the time. So what we can do is we can have a poll in Slack or in one of our mailing lists, and what we can do is we can try to come up with a new plan. I mean a new time. And yep, I'll share more details about this meeting quite soon. Lee, like, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, just to recap that briefly. So Navendu is saying that, hey, we've had for a long time a continuous integration meeting that meets once every 2 weeks. There's a lot that gets done in the Meshry project and the other projects, Get Nighthawk, SMP. The Service Mesh Patterns project doesn't have a lot of workflow or GitHub actions yet. Ultimately, it will. Having said that, there's been a lot that's been automated, and that's good. There's more to be automated. And actually, much of that automation needs to happen around QA, around quality. And that's one of the things that's been on the Meshry roadmap for a while. As we turn the corner, as we're over the v0.5, the halfway mark to 1.0, as we're over that hump, begin to establish some practices toward better, toward higher quality, right? As a matter of fact, so I don't know if let me see if he's on the call. I don't want to embarrass him, but So there's a principal architect who just reached out 35 minutes ago from Comcast, who's long been a friend of, his name's Jeffrey. I mean, he's long been a friend of Meshri and of Layer5, of the stuff that you all are doing here. He was asking for references of Meshri deployed in production. And so he works at a service provider. That service provider uses more than one mesh. He's long been interested in what we're doing. And apparently it's gaining steam there, his suggestions and things that they should do. And so my point is that increasing the quality of the project becomes more and more important as we, as more and more people look to adopt. And so that doesn't, as a matter of fact, increasing quality shouldn't slow us down in terms of the functionality that you all are creating. As a matter of fact, it should speed it up. There's any number of you that engage with users helping or other contributors. You help them overcome bugs or overcome environment issues in their environment. The less bugs that we have, the less time that you all spend on that activity, which actually means more time for creating new features. So, so good. So Navendi was just saying we're going to take the continuous integration meeting, expand it beyond just build to build and release, and then focus a bit on release to get a test strategy written. There is an existing test plan. So the test strategy would talk about things like, oh, are we going to use, do we need a certain unit test percent coverage, or what tooling does the integration test use? Cypress is an example of one of the tools that the project uses to help facilitate integration tests. And so the test strategy is about the approach. The test plan ends up being a release specific set of individual, and actually, Navendi, do you mind, if you don't mind, to go to the test plan? It's a list of specific behaviors or features to verify. Over time, this thing grows because more features get added. And over time, what we want to do is collectively automate these things, like identify how much test coverage these areas have, and identify, both in terms of integration tests and things, integration and unit tests. So yeah, there's just some additional background as to what that other meeting is about. It meets, currently it meets a little bit later in the day, which works out well for some people and not so well for others. So I think the proposal is to move it earlier in the day. So yep, it's also it's also just a call for participation. There are, how many rows are in this test plan? 60. There's way more than 60 things that you can do with Meshri. So there are additional tests to define. Eventually, here shortly, we'll be having powwows or working sessions where we've been doing this for Meshri CTL. Actually, does someone other than Navendu or Lee, does anyone want to talk about how those Meshri CTL, Piyush, maybe you want to talk about the Meshri CTL bug smashing sessions? We would basically use a similar format for release readiness sessions. Piyush may not be able to speak at the moment. I just remembered. I'm not seeing anyone else to pick on necessarily. So the point is, we schedule sessions, people come on, people put their name next to one of the rows here or multiple of the rows, and just verify that that behavior is, that things are still working well. Yep, these are ripe for automation. There are many of these test cases that are already covered by automation. So that's something for us to do. Good. This is actually a great place for, well, those that are into DevOps or into administration. Like, you can be really impactful here in the project. There are many people who join the community who want to contribute or write code and we need some powerful users, those that are putting on their user hat and being really finicky, being really, so that we can identify issues with the project. That's it.
Thanks, Lee. So this area is open for our participation. So feel free to jump in on Slack or talk to us to get your hands on these. All right. Next up, we have a topic about Meshmap. So Meshmap is one of those projects that we have been working on that has not yet been released to the general set of users. So we have a Meshmap alpha program that is running right now to engage with users and help improve Meshmap or find some bugs or improve user experience and all those stuff. So we have an alpha program opened up. So before we talk about that, we have a demo on Meshmap. I'm not sure who will be demoing, but I see that Barik is not available for the demo. Is there anyone else who can jump in and do a quick demo of Meshmap?
I have Meshmap running, so I can.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So while Utkarsh brings Meshmap, Meshmap is a visual designer for service meshes. It's the first one of its kind, actually. So, and with this alpha program, we are inviting users to test out Meshmap and provide us feedback to help us improve. So you can sign up for this alpha program and test out Meshmap. So, yes.
Yep. So as Navin was mentioning, Meshmap is a designer as well as a visualizer. So what you can do using Meshmap, at least, I mean, what we have currently very much function is you can design your service mesh. Right now I only have the Istio adapter running, so that is why it's showing only Istio service mesh, the components of Istio service mesh. So you can see all of the components that Istio service mesh has. We have Mesh supports out of the box many versions of Istio, as you can see. So you can select any version that you want to. Right now, the default is 1.9.8. If you would have more than one adapter running, like me, I have only Istio adapter running of Mesh. That is why it's showing only one component Dropbox. You will have many. Let's go to the patterns. In patterns, what you can do, we have many patterns here. Let's open this book info fault injected ones. If you would click on this, it will take a while. It will load the pattern as a diagram on this canvas. So I hope the diagram is now visible. What this is basically representing is what your cluster would look like once you click on deploy. So we have this sample app gateway and then virtual service. So we are directing here that how the cluster would look like, what these applications are supposed to look like. So if you would click on it, if you want to edit something, you can go ahead and edit the details. And once I click on deploy, which I'm not sure if I should, but if I click on deploy, it will ensure that the state of the cluster looks exactly how this particular architecture diagram is. So it's in concept, it's like a architecture diagram, but far more powerful than what the design, like
far more powerful than any of the architecture designer that anyone have used, because this can completely this can do bidirectional translation. So what we have here is translated into the actual cluster state, as well as if you would go to the visualizer. Right now, visualizer is heavily under development. So, but still, we should be able to see the state of the cluster in here. I don't know why it's taking a while. Yep. So the data that is being shown here is coming from MeshSync. MeshSync is one of the components that Meshri actually deploys to your cluster. So let's see the logs of MeshSync, the items that it is discovering. So these are the logs that are coming from MeshSync pod. If a pod has more than one container, that is something also the visualizer supports. We can also get in the interactive terminal. The log, as probably everyone can see, the logs are streaming. It is also capable of detecting if something was changed in the state or not. If it was, only then it will send the update, or else it will skip that thing. This is a so this is a visualizer, and as I was showing, this is the designer. You can design new patterns right from here. So let's say you want to drop in a destination rule. Here's a destination rule. You can configure your stuff from this particular form, delete it, or basically do any kind of designing right in the designer. So that's pretty much it, actually.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for the demo. So this is Meshmap, and as I mentioned before, you can sign up to test out Meshmap in the alpha program, and you can find you can just add your names in the meeting minutes. There is a you can go to the sign up here section, and then you can add your names, and we can add you to the alpha program and send you instructions on setting up Meshmap and testing it out. Any other comments here before we move on to the next topic? All right. Yep. Thanks again, Utkarsh. That was a cool demo. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So Debopriya would not be able to join us today. So basically, we wanted to showcase this new organization README. So GitHub has just added this new feature, and we have a new README in the Layer5, and basically it gives an idea about all the different projects that we do here in Layer5. So these are all the projects, as well as how we handle community in Layer5. So you can take a look here, and like if there are any changes that you suggest, feel free to talk about it in Slack or on GitHub. Open up an issue if you want to add something. All right. Moving on to the next topic, Anita will be doing a review on the Layer5 community handbook. Anita, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
Yep.
Let's see if I can put some that camera. Yeah, hey. Well, it's been an exciting journey so far trying to put up this handbook, and yeah, from everyone that contributed, we want to thank you first of all. Like, thanks to everyone that put their hands together putting this handbook together. And yeah, Debopriya did an awesome job, because this looks way better than what I actually pictured. So that, yeah, this is an awesome job. So far, the handbook is coming together. It looks presentable. It looks like something we'll be proud of putting on. Yeah, we'll soon be putting that out there, but till everything is complete, we have to keep it a secret. Because so far, Goodness is supposed to update this. She hasn't made any updates yet. I reached out to her. She said she'll create a pull request before the end of today. So we should be expecting a pull request on this. But so far the text, the fonts are still disturbing. I mean, fonts families is conflicting with the original fonts Layer5 uses, and that's also disturbing. And also I noticed that there's very little space under each of this.
Anita froze on us. To ad lib while she unfreezes. Well, I guess it's somewhat self-explanatory. Like there's a bunch of resources in the community, and those resources have been described in various Google Docs and in various READMEs. And so Anita and Ruth have been leading the charge to try to bring a lot of that info into a central location, one that's easily referenceable. And it's looking pretty good. A lot of folks have contributed to it. And so some of that same information can be exposed in the GitHub org overview, or the other one that I can't remember if Debo Priya just showed it, but anyway, it's great. Yeah, this one actually can get even more fancy potentially. But it's things like this and the Layer5 IO site that are important to have well curated, because they end up representing much of the work that goes on here. They end up being kind of a single point of reference for all of those things. So, and I must say that the site looks pretty.
My network went out. Sorry.
So, Anita, you're back. I was just ad-libbing.
Okay. Yeah, my network got disconnected. Okay, yes. So mostly what's left is to include links, probably updates on a few grammatical errors, and yeah, it looks better than what we had for now. So we can work with this. And I also noticed that it's an issue for that and make an update with organized, although if it could be jam-packed, and for reading sakes, and also we have to add a link to each of these, like the Hacktoberfest, we need links to that, because if you go back to this, you still have to click another link, and that's like extra. They actually have direct internships here. Who is curious about them can just quickly click on it and go there and make a review. And about the internship program, is there a way we can like highlight persons that maybe participated in internships from Layer5 for a particular section? If that's possible, because I feel it would actually be nice to see that we were able to have us participate in internship under Layer5. It's really nice to put out there too. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's a nice graphic about Meshri being the #1 most popular LFX internship as well, for all of the Linux Foundation projects, which include all of the CNCF projects, which like but that would be, that's something to take pride in, to put in there as well. So it's nice. It's really great. By the way, so of what Anita, like it's like basically implicit to all of the things that are being discussed today. If it's not clear to you, there's sort of an implicit call for participation. So Anita has had any number of people contributing to this, and there are some undone things. It's really close, but that's a great place to go, jump in and contribute. It's actually, for anyone who's relatively new, like it's a great read anyway. There are many things that are done in the community, and most of them, they follow the same paradigm of they are open opportunities to you. So go take the opportunity. So like go, and if you don't know about it, like go read through the handbook. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you're into Rust, there's some Rustling that's being tossed around and being done. If you're into C++, there's a project for that. If you're into Golang, if you're into React.js, if you're into like, there's a lot of things that are going on. So there's a lot of things that don't have to do with code as well. And there's a number of you on the call who are focused on non-code things. They are most impactful. So have a read, give Anita some feedback, and then let's get this sucker published.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this out there, because it will be something to actually make a tweet about as well once we're done.
Good. What's our item? What's our next agenda item?
Yep. Next is about the binary release. Aditya, would you like to?
Yeah, sure. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
So we are going to put in a minor release announcement. So right now I have just added the release notes starting from V4 5.48 to 5.57. There is a lot of release notes, like especially in the general part. So I have just cut out some and put in a few major ones. And also we need to think about the feature highlights. We might want to add connection wizard again, considering there have been a lot of changes in the connection wizard. And we can also put in the alpha program. Okay, like we can put in the alpha program call out here as well. So that's what I was thinking. And this is all that I've added for the release notes. There is still a lot more to add, but I thought it was getting a little too long. So this is all I've added. I was audible, right?
So this is another, this is another great example of non-code things to go do. So right now, when a Meshry release is made, there's no email that automatically goes out and lets people know that, hey, maybe they should go update their system. Maybe they should try out the new features. So Jamie was asking about workflow earlier. One of the goals for this, for the I guess it's technically not a minor, for these small releases, is to have those released, the publishing of an email like this to be automated, because the way that the release notes are collected, that's in an automated way. So sending out an email using a GitHub action, pretty easy to do. So ultimately, these smaller releases can have automated emails go out that are HTML formatted and look pretty decent. Yeah, but in the meantime, also for the larger releases, there's a bunch of activity. There are over 3,000 people subscribed to the community mailing list, and we barely let them know what's going on. Like there's a lot of you that have done some really neat things. Really neat things. Darren is fixing the Meshry operator, which, like, who knows how long, like we never had the Helm deployment of it working like it should be. So thank goodness Darren is here but that's actually something to talk about, is like, what is the Meshry operator? What are the two custom controllers that are inside? How does that work? My hope, and so like an email on that, it would be educational to a lot of folks. Amia was just asking about some of that, like, hey, what are these components and what do they do? Like, there's a lot that's written in Meshry docs, but it's also nice to get bite-sized chunks in your mailbox about how things work. Some of you, Tanuj, I don't think he's on the call at the moment. He has done a lot with Adobe After Effects. So helping curate small video clips is really helpful. If you're like me, you're a lazy reader and you enjoy video more than you do reading. So we've got very little videos. So there's another opportunity to jump in and do some things. Yeah. So a detail, like one of the things that is, so for those that are really, really paying attention, it's nice to have super granular change logs of what's all been changed. If you can dissect, if you have enough context for what the heck adding loading spinner means or whatever any of those mean. But what's even more helpful is when someone like Aditya here is doing, or anyone else on the call is able to write a paragraph, like to describe some new thing. So that like the mouse right now was on the last step of the connectivity wizard, the connection wizard. It was the finished step. Well, what is that and how does it work? Or like, there's any number of things to write up is what I'm saying. And so there's a bunch of venues in which to, that not only through email, but also on the Layer5 blog. There's a Meshry blog. There's a Service Mesh Performance blog. These are things that are open to you all. So not only are all of you hopefully learning collectively as we're going, but also part of the like intentional goal here is that is that many of you are advancing through either through your careers or through your through recognition of things that you've done. This community is very much so operates differently or a bit differently than others. Like it's about you. It's about elevating the works that you do. So go take advantage of writing a blog post and getting it out there. There's a number of people who aren't in the community anymore because they've been hired away because of the works that they've done here. So, and that's a beautiful thing. Some people get hired away, but still stick around. There's a couple of you that are on the call right now that is the case. And that's a wonderful thing. That only reinforces that those individuals are still being fed or still enjoy what's going on. So that's really cool. And that concludes our program for the day, I think. Does anyone have anything else they want to chat about?
Hey, Lee, I'm back with audio.
Hey.
So I have a question about the Helm chart thing. I'm not sure if I should ask here or wait for the next, like the Meshry CTO meeting.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, shall I share my screen?
Please. Always. That's an always yes.
So yeah, for the Helm chart, for those who don't have the context, basically there are some users, but also Lee reported that the Helm chart, the Meshry operator Helm chart is basically broken because of the version upgrade from V1 beta 1 to V1. So, oh, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm a new member. I joined this community like 10 days ago, and then I started, reading documentation and then some of the issues that we have in Meshry because I'm a backend developer. And then I found this issue, and then I tried to fix it, and then yeah, so the Meshry operator Helm chart was broken with some errors that you cannot really do a Helm install with these Helm charts. So I tried to fix it, and then I realized there are some issues other than the versioning of the Helm chart. So the change that I make, basically, there's another PR that in the mesh sync, because that's where the mastery operator, because that's where the CRDs are generated. So I also submitted a PR here. So basically what this PR is, I basically upgraded the controller gen version from 0.3.0 to 0.6.1, so that we can use the existing make command to update the CRD here for the broker, and then for the mesh sync, I believe. Yep, and then I just basically copy them over to these mastery operator Helm charts, and then there we have like this PR in the mastery, and that fixes part of the problem, so that we can see all the parts are getting deployed and installed into a cluster. But then I think one of the maintainer pointed out one issues is that the broker and the mesh sync part, they are not present in the cluster. And then I took a look at how the mastery CTL is implemented, and then the way it install everything is it points to the YAML files like this one. It has these samples, it has the broker and then mesh sync to do the installation for broker and mesh sync, but we are missing these two in the mastery Helm chart. So in the mastery Helm chart here, the mastery operator Helm chart, we have the CRD, but we don't really have the CR instance. So I believe that's what we are missing, that makes it not able to deploy the broker and the mesh sync. I'm just wondering if anyone can give me some confirmation on that, or does it sound reasonable to you guys?
Rudraksh?
No, I'm not having so much of context right now.
Sure. Like resoundingly, resoundingly yes, Darren. Yes. Like there was, so one of the prior maintainers he's about 4 days away. He's got 2 months of inactivity and it's about to hit. So his maintainer role will open up next week.
Okay.
A really nice guy. He's just, yeah, there was, so part of the, yes is the short answer. Part of the thought process here historically had been that there was, well, you know what, let me not take you through it because I don't think it doesn't really matter. It's basically an oversight or an undersight of like not ensuring that, yeah, great, the definitions are created, but there's no custom resources actually defined. And yeah, surprisingly, it's taken us this long to identify that that's an issue. Like that issue has plagued a couple of deployments. As a matter of fact, there was, well, there's a user from personal.ai, which is a young startup. They're doing some cool things. They're trying to deploy an EKS, and this exact issue was
Okay.
the issue.
They just try to use the Helm chart instead of the CTL, and then they also encounter the same issue.
Yep, they tried to use all of the above, and yeah.
I see. I think the root cause of causing this issue is that the CTL is pointing to use like one, the YAML, like all the YAML files in this mastery operator /config, like all this here, or most of it, to do the installation of the entire system. And then on the other hand, they are different from what we have in the Helm charts, right? And then in my opinion, they should be pointing to the same place so that we have, consistent deployment of either using Helm chart or the CTL tool that we're building ourselves.
I don't think totally. You won't find disagreement here. You're right, and you're actually looking at the right spot to have that defined. And yeah, we'd like to converge on Helm as like between manifests and Helm to converge on the use of Helm. And By the way, Darren, you might know this already, but just to orient you a little bit further, that so the source for the Helm charts is right where you're looking at. These charts are, once they're built, they're published to the meshry.io repository. So like the project site repository. That's because the GitHub pages on the main Meshry repo that runs the docs site. The project site is separate. So the charts are published to the project site.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, Darren, you're pointed in the right way.
Yeah, so I will update the PR that I have under the masteries to add those meeting CR instance, YAMLs into this Helm chart, and then that fix, one of the two remaining problems. And then the last problem that I found is that in this deployment, we only have the manager container in the pod. That's what we have in all these, Helm statements. But then in the mastery CTL, if you go to the manifest and then defaults, that's what we use in the mastery CTL to deploy the mastery operator pod. And then there is a container called RBAC that, well, let me search for containers. So here is a deployment. It's supposed to be the same as the one that is showing here under the mastery, the operator Helm chart, but it is not, because this guy is missing the RBAC container. This guy has the RBAC. As you can see from line 397, we have all the containers, and then, 404 indicates that this container uses the kubebuilder kube RBAC proxy image. And then we have another container, of course, that's what we know, we use the mastery operator. So which makes, when we use the mastery CTL to do deployment, we have like two containers in the mastery operator pod. But when I did the deployment using the Helm charts, in my PR, we only have one container in the pod. So I just basically wanted to confirm with whoever has the knowledge that this is a mistake or not in the Helm chart. Because in my opinion, it is a mistake, although if I don't really know what the RBAC container does.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am as well. And Utkarsh is another individual that, so the maintainer Abhishek isn't on the call and had largely been a single individual kind of wrangling the operator.
I found it because no one really commented my PR, so that's what I guess that's what's happening.
Yeah, so like for sure there should be consistency. Like if we're doing inconsistent things, then there's an issue,
right?
And then I'll claim ignorance on like what the RBAC proxy does or is doing.
It's probably doing some, processing of the network traffic into the pod, so that I don't know, it might filter some of the network that coming from outside, or, I don't really know the implementation of this container because it seems to me it's public. So I don't really know why we have this container here. Probably there is some historical reason that I'm not aware of.
So, and that's from the Cube Builder project, which also lends some confusion to me, because unless I completely missed it, like we did diligence on selecting what SDK we wanted to use for building an operator. We landed on the operator SDK. So use of Cube Builder stuff is,
Well, I think the entire pattern that the mastery operator has, it seems it is based on the Cube Builder instead of operator SDK. Well, at least from what I have read so far.
Which is what it highlights there, that Gen, the controller that the controller that's being updated, it is Cube Builder. So yeah, I don't know, either I'm just misremembering that we chose the other, or like, yeah, he was, we needed the operator quickly.
Okay, I see.
It's a,
Yeah, I guess I will update my PR so that it is consistent with the mastery CTL, because now the handshot is not, it doesn't match what we have in the CTL at all, the handshot.
And then Darren, if you happen to be on the next Meshry dev call, an education to the rest of, if you so happen to learn what the RBAC proxy does by that time, like a quick education to the rest of us would be great.
Mastery, oh, that's on Wednesday, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can try to attend that because I have a daily stand-up, like, right around that time, like 10 a.m. in my time zone. So I can try to make that happen. And then I will update my PR after, later today, so that, I can bring it up in the next meeting before we actually merge it, because I don't really want us to go back, fixing the already merged PR, by opening another PR. That might cause some chaos.
Sure. Yeah, we do. The one thing we're about to make a release, and actually so this right now, the way that we are is I think those that are trying to deploy into EKS or into a managed Kubernetes would still run into this issue.
Okay.
If we do, actually on that, I guess like a quick question, yeah, if we do an intermediary merge of this PR and understanding that we still have a couple of open issues, like, we'll be in a better position. Will that cause an issue for you?
Or I can add the missing pieces to this PR later, in my afternoon time before we merge it. Because I tested locally by manually deploying the 2 missing CR instance, and then it works fine, So my plan was to basically add those 2 missing YAMLs to the same Helm chart, and then,
Perfect.
Yeah, I can do that because that's what I did in my local testing, and that's the cluster that I have. And yeah, that's the broker, and then the mesh sync here. And then we have those 2 parts, and then the operator is able to pick up to reconcile them, because I can see that from the logs. He's reconciling the brokers and then the mesh sync summary. Yeah, reconciling mesh sync. So as long as we have the CR instance, the operator is able to reconcile the resources that it is watching.
Perfect.
So yeah, in short, I can update the PR, and then I think we can merge it if we want that today.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be good. It's a good step forward. Yeah. Hey, by the way, Darren, while you're in there, or if you're in that same spot, if there's a misspelling of the reconciling, not that this really matters, but if you
really, I didn't really check the. I used to see it.
If you end up,
oh yeah, there's double L.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I didn't really check the message.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I will update that as well. Thank you for putting that up.
Darren, that's great.
Yeah, that's all I have, because I haven't really been here for a long time, just like 10 days. That's basically all the understanding that I have.
That's good, man. Yeah, are impacting already.
Try my best.
Yeah, that's good. It's really good. I mean, it's actually really impactful. That's why we want to get it merged, because there are a couple of users who are sort of sitting there without an active mesh sync, and like Meshry is still functional. You can still do a lot of performance management, but the other 2/3 of what Meshry does now, you really need mesh sync. So
I see.
This is good. Nice. All right. Well, Navendi, do we have anything else today?
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to ask this. So for Measure CTL, should we move to Helm before we make our next release?
We should move to Helm. There's a couple of, we can make another release. Or like before we get to V060, like, yeah, there's a couple of things that need to get, for those that are starting on the Meshmap alpha program, they're in need of another release. And so yep, there's a
Yeah.
couple. And that,
Yeah, I meant the V06 release.
I think so.
Okay.
There's, yep. Then just as Darren looks at this as well, or gets familiar, there's Meshkit is a central library that a lot of the Meshry components use. And it has some Helm, it has some functions for interfacing with Helm. So just a reference. Okay. I think that's it. It's a great, nice community meeting. Nice to see you guys. Same time next week. Okay. All right. Thanks all. See you soon. Thank you, Navendi.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.